If you're not in talking terms with God, this is probably something that you should listen to. I understand many times we go through different seasons in our lives where we may have, made decisions that has put us in a position where we feel far away from God, where it feels like, oh, I don't think God is going to give me a chance anymore, or I know that God is merciful, but I feel like He wouldn't want to have anything to do with somebody as filthy as I am, right? Hello there, love child of a love God. My name is Beyonce. I want to welcome you to another episode on It's a Hard Thing. If this is your first time this channel, we are all about faith, love, relationships, and everything in between. I want to say thank you for stopping by, and I want you to sit tight because today we're talking about something really important and it will bless you. So, we started talking about something very important, and that is starting again. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and look at the previous episode, just the immediate past episode that I just made. It was encouraging everyone that it is okay to start again. Life has ups and downs, and many times we fall, but it is okay to start again. Proverbs 24, verse 16 says, "A righteous man falls 7 times but rises up." So, because you are righteous doesn't mean that you're not going to experience times in your lives where you are down at your last and almost giving up. But there is one clause: you have to rise up. So, this is an anchor that you must always remember, that you have to rise up. For us, it is not over until it is God's purpose, until it is God's best, until we live in the reality of everything that God spoke about us. And this is what we began to introduce in our previous topic. Today, we're going to be talking about starting again with God, starting again with your relationship with God. Are you in not such a great relationship with God? If you're not in talking terms with God, this is probably something that you should listen to. I understand many times we go through different seasons in our lives where we may have, made decisions that has put us in a position where we feel far away from God, where it feels like, oh, I don't think God is going to give me a chance anymore, or I know that God is merciful, but I feel like He wouldn't want to have anything to do with somebody as filthy as I am, right? Or I probably just always gone back to God too many times, and I don't think I have it in me. Sometimes it's not even about God. Sometimes it's just you. You're too ashamed, guilty, and depressed to go back to God. But I want you to remember the purpose for using the number 7 in that scripture is because 7 represents perfection, completion, like in the perfect state of things. Like you have fallen down in such a way that you should be dead and out, but you still have an opportunity with God. All right. So this is for you who feel like, I don't think I'm ready, or where do I even begin from? God is calling you because His arms are wide open. This episode is specifically for you. So don't close your ears to this. I want you to hear this. No matter how far you have gone, you can never be too far. Why? Because God is always where you are. David speaks about this in the book of Psalms 139, verse 8. And he says, even if I lay my bed, up in the heavens or in the lowest depths, God is always there. And what is that thing about David that you remember? David is the famous man after God's heart, the famous, dearly beloved of God, but still one that was known by his multiple sins. David did so many things. David literally killed his friend and married his wife. I don't know what you have done, but if you've done up to that, then I completely understand why you feel the way that you are. But in spite of everything that David did, David knew that the safest place to be was in the hands of God. It was safer to be, in a position where God ordains your fate, or judges you, in fact. It's better God whoops you than you just be out there in the wild and open and vulnerable, right? Because actually God's love and even God's discipline is better. It is more bearable than anything you're going to see on the outside. So this is just a description of the fact, just an example of the fact that even if you feel you feel disgusted about yourself because you had so much esteem to yourself. An example would be me. I hold myself to such a high esteem that many times when I make some mistakes, I always feel like, so guilty and so condemned, as though, like I'm too good for God. Bro, you're not too good for God. You didn't do anything to merit his love. You didn't do anything to be accepted into his family. And it's not what you're going to do that will keep you in his family. But wherever you are right now, it is important that you realize that being in the position that you are without God leaves you open, vulnerable, and, subject to the enemy pounding you and things happening in your life. And it's better to start now, to begin rebuilding your relationship with God. Starting all over with Jesus is the best decision you'll make right now, because that same thing that you were scared of, this same relationship that you feel guilty and ashamed of, is the same relationship that will build you up, transform you, and bring you to that place of wholeness again. So Matthew 11:28 says, "Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest." Something that I would like to put as a disclaimer: I completely understand why you feel the way you are, because I probably, if I were God, may not be able to forgive depending on what sin that you committed. But that's what makes Jesus, that's what makes God different. That's what makes his love so gracious and so full. So it is time to come back, start all over again. The big question is, how can I start again? So I have 4 things I would like to share with you, 4 different ways that you can begin this process, this journey of starting again with God. Just to bring to your notice that our relationship with God isn't just an emotional one, based off father and child. It is also a covenant relationship. So the number one thing that I need you to realize and to decide today is that you are going to commit to your covenant relationship with God. What does this mean? If you trace God's relationship with his people all the way from Abraham, literally Adam to Abraham to Moses to the children of Israel, you find something that cuts across their relationships. He always made a covenant. You do this, and I will be your God, and you will be my people. And I'll do all these things for you. And you see that there were terms to this relationship. It was both ways. The only thing the children of Israel had to do was listen for him and obey his instructions. And the beautiful thing about this covenant relationship is the part that we have to play is obeying instructions that are good for us. Everything that God asked them to do were things that were only going to help them become better, enter into the promised land. He gave them rules, modes of behavior, different ways of living. For example, circumcision was a thing that he commanded them to do. And circumcision is something that we still do even in this century as a medical good thing. Do you see what I'm saying? So God's instructions aren't burdensome. The Bible says it. God's way of being in partnership with us is just, I want you to just listen to me. I want you to trust that I know it. I know it all. I know this. Trust me, listen to me, and do what I say. Because when you do what I say, I'm able to bring everything to pass. So our covenant relationship is two-sided. I want you to commit to it. For example, the marriage relationship isn't exactly always perfect, right? You may miss date nights a few times, but it doesn't mean the marriage is over. There are still aspects to it. You still consider and maintain the covenant of marriage by being faithful, by listening, by honoring and upholding the whole union of marriage. This is what this is about, and I want you to take note of that. Number 2, I want you to start simple. Don't make this another emotional roller coaster. Don't make decisions off of your emotions right now. I want you to keep it simple and create a schedule. Just like you schedule everything else that you do every day. If you don't schedule anything in your life, this is this is the best time to begin to schedule your life, just because you want to take this relationship seriously. So schedule a time, at least, or a window, 1 hour window, where you can spend quality time anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes, but you just want to give yourself the 1 hour window, just so that it can be full. It can be, it can be what it is meant to be, right? Schedule this 1 hour window and make sure you try to keep to that time. The main aim in this 1 hour window is that you don't make this another religious activity. You don't make this another religious ritual or something that you just do to check off your box, but you're actually going to your time schedule to spend with God, to actually spend time with Him, to have conversation, to connect with Him. You have to make sure that before you get out of that time, you actually felt the presence of God. You actually connected with Him, either through the word, or during your prayer time, or through something that you connected with Him in a way that was tangible. And you always go there willing and waiting, or wanting to hear what He has to say to you in that moment. Don't leave prematurely, but make sure that the time was made good use of. James 4:8 says, "Come near to me and I'll come near to you." So you must remember that if you do not show up, you're not giving God the chance to reach you where you are. It's just like relationships, like regular relationships. Not every day is amazing, but it's important to show up. It's important to go on the dates. It's important to talk to the person and make sure that the communication keeps happening. Number 3, this is something that is different, but I think is really important. And if we look at the life of people that God used mightily in the days of old, especially Daniel, right? He always had a time that I want to call diary sessions. Include diary sessions into your day. Every day, schedule an hour of the day, not a window, not an hour window, just an hour of the day where you check in with God, right? Almost like, for those of you who know the Big Brother show, right? You go into the diary room and have a conversation with Big Brother, and Big Brother checks in with, "Oh, how's the house going? Who's your favorite flatmate or housemate? Who's giving you one? Who do you think should be evicted?" Blah, 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 all those things. This is just what this is about. I want you to learn to schedule diary sessions, or I'll call it check-in sessions, whatever you want to call it, every day. Find the best time in your day that you have control and you can make happen, because your day, what potentially influences the outcome of your day. And make sure you go into every session, even if it's 5 minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on how much time you have on your hands. But let's say your diary session time or your check-in time is 12 noon. You just go in, just shut. You cannot do that and then you're watching TV. Well, if you don't have a choice, then you can just shut down things in your head, depending on where you are. But what I'm saying is, this is the time where you want to shut off distractions and just say, "Hello, God, thank you for this moment. I just wanted to check in and connect with you and find out, okay, what do you think? How's the day looking?" It all depends. Or you can just check in and worship because of what your spirit is feeling or what your heart is feeling. Or you can just check in to talk about something you're dealing with. "Lord, this person annoyed me, but I want to do things your way. Please help me see things the way you see things." I'm praying in the spirit if you already pray in the spirit. Or you can just check in and just pray in the spirit, full-fleshed. Whatever it is another time for you to check in with God. We don't want your life and your relationship with God to just be in the morning and before you go to bed. We want you to, I'm trying to make you build a real life, tangible relationship, knowing that God is that friend that sticks closer to you than anybody will. God is the one person that understands you beyond the way anybody can understand you. So take advantage of His love. Number 4, make sure to try to create retreat days. It could be once a month, once a week, depending. But I would solidly advise that you create a retreat time once a week. This is because as you go through your weekly activities, you tend to not have enough time to spend with God, to ask questions, to do your research, to study elaborately. But this is the time where you spend more time digging into the word. You're getting your cross reference, your commentaries, everything, asking God questions, studying, praying, soaking, your private time that is uninterrupted. I believe that every believer that wants a solid relationship with God should be able to create a day, should be able to have a day in the week, probably Fridays, probably Saturdays, I don't know, where you actually create at least a 2 to 3 hour window. No limit on how much time you spend within those hours, but just a 2 3 hour window where you mark off and you have no visitors, you have nothing distracting you, and you commit to making those hours, hours that you're spending and committing and dedicating to God. That is really important. Number five, you are human. So create triggers that will set you up to succeed. It is most likely that you do this the first 2 days, 3 days, and you get tired or you just get bored of the routine. For those of you who are really great with routines like me, so you want to set and create triggers that will set you up for success. Things that will help you not to forget. What does this look like? You can set alarms on your phone so that for every hour you actually have your alarm ring 30 minutes prior, so you are reminded to get ready for that. Or it could also mean that if you're the type of person that likes to plan his or her day before the day begins, you set out your day. You actually write everything down and make sure your activities line up in such a way that it will lead you to these moments. You don't take it for granted. I want you to realize that even starting again with your relationship with God is a holy war. The enemy is also going to try to make sure that you do not grow in your walk with God, that he takes you back to the place that we're trying to come out of. So don't take it lightly. At least for the first 1 month, 2 3 months, you must realize that you are at war. So you must put on the armor of God. You must stand firm and understand that you are being firm and resisting every urge of distraction. Take note of those friends, those activities, those things that most likely would derail you, that would distract you. Do not play with fire. The Bible says it. Don't be deceived. Evil communication, bad communication will corrupt good morals. What are those morals? What are the things you're trying to build up? The best decision you can make is making sure you identify those things that have the potential of corrupting or messing up your plans and staying away from them or removing them from around you and how they can influence you. Finally, Proverbs 24 verse 3 to 4, Message translation. I'm going to read it with you. It says, "It takes wisdom to build a house and understanding to set it on a firm foundation." Simply saying, this rebuilding is holy work, like I said earlier. So guard it. Guard it. If this has blessed you, I want you to go ahead and share. Something that I want you to do for me is please comment in the chat below which of these steps, which of it is something that you feel like is going to be the most difficult for you to do. I want to hear your thoughts and I will respond with what mine is. Thank you guys one more time for staying to the end. I appreciate you. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.